Welcome to the Pantheon, the show where we look at the top 5 cards for any given commander. Today we're going to be having a look at Willowdusk, the new face commander for the commander set for Golgari / whatever the new version is. Without further ado, let's have a look at her. Willowdusk Essence Seer. She's a 3 mana, which, is a very respectable casting cost. And she's green and black, which is my personal favourite colour combination. I really associate with the Golgari. But what abilities does she have? Can pay 1 and tap her. Choose another target creature. Put a number of 1/1 counts on it equal to the amount of life you have gained this turn, or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate only as a sorcery. Now this is a really cool ability, but the fact that it is only sorcery is quite depressing to me, to be honest. I don't see why it had to be hampered like that, but it has been. And she's a 3/3 for 3, which is very respectable. So what are we going to be doing with this deck? Well, we want to be losing a lot of life and then gaining a bunch of life. We want to be flip-flopping between those two different things. So without further ado, let's get into it and have a look at our 5th card, which is Doom Whisperer. Is a 5 mana 6/6 with flying and trample. Now that alone is okay, not a reason to play it in Commander. Big dudes are pretty good, but they're not the best in the world. The main reason we want to play it is pay 2 life, surveil 2. Now, we can pay that as much as we want in a turn, and we can surveil to our heart's content. But the main reason we're playing it is because after we've surveilled into the ground, we can then put a ton of counters wherever we want with Willowdusk. Absolutely brilliant. Another couple of cards like this, Necropotence, a 3 mana enchantment. We skip our draw step, boo. But whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard, boo. It does have the ability, however, pay 1 life, exile the top card of your library face down, put that card into your hand at the beginning of the next end step. Hey! So it's a fantastic card advantage engine. And if you've got Willowdusk on the field and you pay 39 life, you can then put 39 1/1 counters onto something, which is pretty good. And you're going to be drawing 39 cards. There's a lot of reasons Necropotence is incredibly good, and it's phenomenal in this deck. Blood Celebrant is a 1 mana 1/1 cleric. Pay a black, pay 1 life, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. So if you make a black, you can then do the ability again, pay 1 life. You can pay as much life as you want because you're always producing black. Then afterwards, you've paid all the life you want. You can then pay to make a white mana. I don't know why you do that. Sylvan Library is a 2 mana enchantment that reads, at the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards from your hand drawn this way. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put a card on the top of your library. So each turn you could pay 8 life to draw 2 additional cards. That's fantastic and allows us to get some nice big buffs with Willowdusk. And we're driving our life total straight down. Similar to this, we've got Vilis Broker of Blood, who's an 8 mana 8/8 with flying and pay a black, pay 2 life. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Great little bit of removal. He also has the ability, which is the main reason you want to play him, whenever you lose life, draw that many cards. So with the previous examples, if you do pay 39 life, you're going to draw 39 cards. Very strong ability. And he's just a massive flying idiot that has an ability to pay life and, remove the board. It's a wonderful card. Bolus's Citadel is a 6 mana artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of the library. If you cast the spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. So we can churn through our deck and pay our life, getting it lower and lower and lower. Phyrexian Processor is a 4 mana artifact. When it enters the battlefield, pay any amount of life. Brilliant, exactly what we're going to be doing. Pay 4, tap it, put an XX black minion creature token onto the battlefield, where X is the life paid as Phyrexian Processor enter the battlefield. Another way to make magnificently big dudes. But we've paid all this life, so with number 4, here's a couple of ways that we can gain some life back. Momentous Fall is a 4-mana instant. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. You draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then gain life equal to its toughness. So, if we've used Willowdusk on a turn where we've, taken our life total right down, we can use this to spring back up and draw a ton of cards. This is a recurring theme in the deck. We're going to be drawing a mountain of cards, and it's going to be great. Similar to this, we've got, Spike Feeder is a very interesting creature. So, 3 mana, it enters the battlefield, 2 1/1 counters on it. Pay 2, remove a 1/1 counter, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Then, we can remove a 1/1 counter from Spike Feeder to gain 2 life. So, if we've dumped all of our counters on it, say 39 counters, Spike Feeder will be a 41/41. We can then take him all the way down, remove 40 counters to make 80 life, and then with Willowdusk, we can put 80 counters back on Spike Feeder. So he's then an 81/81. It's fantastic bit of synergy, and he's a great card in this deck. He really, really helps. He doubles the life that we've paid previously. It's brilliant. Similar to this, Disciple of Bolas is a 4-mana 2/1. When he enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. You gain X life and draw X cards, where X is that creature's power. Works exactly the same as Momentous Fall. We're going to be drawing tons of cards, gaining tons of life. With Erebos, or a slightly different sort of axis, is a 4-mana legendary artifact enchantment. Creatures you control have lifelink. So we're going to be making a ton of massive dudes, and then they're going to have lifelink to gain us all our life back. Also, there's the ability, pay 4, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If it gains haste, exile it at the beginning of your next end step. If it would leave the battlefield, exile it instead, and putting it anywhere else also exiles it. Activate this ability only in time you can cast a sorcery. Sadly, it's got the Willowdusk problem there, but giving our dudes lifelink, absolutely brilliant. Doomgape is a wonderful creature, 7 mana 10/10, trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. This can yo-yo our life total back up massively if we've just got a massive token, and then we can, pump all the counters maybe onto Doomgape. And he's a massive trampler, so he'll be hitting in for 50 damage. Absolutely wonderful. Mirror the Moaning Well is a legendary land, so playing a land, that has a cool effect for our deck. No opportunity cost, we can just put it in for free. Tap to add 1 mana to your mana pool. Pay 3, tap, sacrifice a creature. You gain life equals the sacrificed creature's toughness. We can do this at instant speed, so if an opponent is pointing a removal spell at our creature, our massive dude, we just tap it, gain a loads of life. Then, a brand new card from Strixhaven here. Accomplished Alchemist is a 4-mana 2/5 who taps to add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Okay, bit of ramp. Turn 4, not that great. But he also has the second ability, tap, add X mana of any one colour, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. We can gain a catastrophic amount of life in this deck. That Spike Feeder example, we gained 80 life. Well, okay, I'll tap this to make 80 mana. That's it's pretty good. But moving on, we've got a bunch of counters. What are we going to be doing with those counters? Well, in at number 3, here's a couple of creatures that we want to be putting the counters onto. Bloodsport Thrynax is a 4-mana 2/2 lizard. Need you no more. He has Devour 1, so when he enters the battlefield, he may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with that many 1/1 counters on it. That ability, not very interesting. We're not really running a token strategy here, but each other creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is number of 1/1 counters on it. So, if we've put a ton of counters on him, every single creature we play after that will come in with those counters as well. It's brilliant. We can just make a massive army of big dudes. And big dudes is what we're all about. Similar to this, we've got Fertilid, who he enters with 2 1/1 counters on it. Pay 2, remove a 1/1 counter for Fertilid. Target player searches a library for a basic land, puts it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. You can put a bunch of counters onto Fertilid, and then just get all of the lands out of your deck. Corpsejack's Menace is a 4-mana 4/4. If one or more 1/1 counters will be put onto a creature you control, twice that many 1/1 counters are put on instead. Doubles every effect that we have. Really, really cool. Then, Realm Seekers is just a massive dude all by himself. 6 mana for a 0/0. But there's more. When he enters the battlefield, he enters with X 1/1 counters on it, where X is the total number of cards in all players' hands. Pay 3, remove a 1/1 counter from Realm Seeker, search your library for a land card, put it into your hand. Really, really cool. Can search up Mirror in the Moaning Well. Generally, our opponents, they're going to have between 3 or 4 cards in their hand. Say it's 4. So that's 12 for an opponent. And then we are going to be drawing an astonishing amount of cards. So this guy can be absolutely massive. And then we've got to number 2. Number 2 is, there's a lot of board wipes in Commander, and we really need to stop that. Or if we can't stop it, we want us to not really affect us. Flesh Carver is another creature that we can pile the counters on. So it's a 3 mana 2/2, has Intimidate. Pay 2, sacrifice another creature, put 2 1/1 counters on Flesh Carver. So he can sort of grow himself, but really quite slowly. The main reason we're interested in him is when he dies, put an XX Black Horror creature token onto the battlefield where X is Flesh Carver's power. So board gets wiped or this gets removed, we end up with, we've still got a massive idiot. Really, really good. Another couple of cards like this. Rayhan, Last of the Abzan, is a 3 mana 0/0, I think it is. Enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it. Whenever a creature control dies or is put into the command zone, if it had 1 or more 1/1 counters on it, you may put those 1/1 counters onto target creature. So it works like modular, I think it is, the artifact version of this. We can just shift all of the counters around. So we never lose them, as long as we've got another creature on the board. Grakmor, Skyclave's Ravager, 3 mana for a 0/0. Enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters on it. When another creature you control dies, if you had a 1/1 counter on it, put a 1/1 on Grakmor. Then, when it dies, create an XX black-green Hydra token where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. Again, we just keep a massive dude on the field. Forgotten Ancient, slightly different. 4 mana for a 0/3. Whenever a player casts a spell, you may put a 1/1 counter on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may move any number of 1/1 counters from Forgotten Ancient onto other creatures. Absolutely fantastic. We can move the counters about. Then we've got a couple more. Fungal Behemoth, 4 mana for a 0/0. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of 1/1 counters on creatures you control. So if we have just one massive dude, this is also a massive dude. Also has suspend for X. When you suspend it, you can pay double green and X. X can't be 0. Whenever a time counter is removed from Fungal Behemoth while it's in exile, you may put a 1/1 counter onto target creature. Not really that interesting. The main reason we're playing it is because it's just a massive idiot. Multani, Yavimai's avatar, doesn't work with +1/+1 counters, but he is just another large creature. 6 mana for a 0/0 with Reach and Trample. He gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. Pay 2, return 2 lands you control to its owner's hand. Return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. But great bit of recursion, and recursion is going to be useful in the last section. Rishkar's Expertise is a 6 mana sorcery. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. Then you can cast a card with converting mana cost 5 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. If we have sticky creatures, there's no way our opponents can remove them, or it's very hard for them to remove them before this comes off and we just draw a bunch of cards. And that brings us to our number 1 spot. And we want to win the game. And the best way to do that is Jared Golgari Lichlord. Golgari is the best. He's double black, double green for a legendary elf zombie. Great. He gets +1/+1 for each creature card in your graveyard. Brilliant. You can pay 3, and this is the main reason that we're playing him. Sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equals to the sacrificed creature's power. So, we've got a massive dude, sack him, our opponents are dead. There's nothing else to it. Then he also has the ability, sacrifice a swamp in a forest, Return Jared from your graveyard to your hand. Excellent bit of recursion. So the reason I mentioned recursion is there will be times when the creature we sacrifice for Jared just isn't big enough, which is why our little sticky minions that, you know, die and bring back another version of themselves, we can then sacrifice that, and then that should get the job done. Similar to this, we've got Rite of Consumption, a 2-mana sorcery. As an additional cost, sacrifice a creature. Deals damage equal to sacrifice creature's power to target player. You gain life equal to the damage dealt. So you can yo-yo yourself back up. If it's not for lethal, you will be doing a ton of damage and gaining loads of life. To go along with these life gain, we've got Exquisite Blood, Sanguine Bond. So whenever opponent loses life, you gain that much life. Great. Brilliant for your yo-yoing. Sanguine Bond. Whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. In combination, these two can absolutely decimate the fields. You know, everyone will be dead. Great. Similar to this, we have Defiant Bloodlord and Veto. Both of them have the ability, whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So our yo-yoing will be able to kill our opponents. And then also Veto can give our creatures lifelink. Another great reason to play him. Exquisite Blood, Exsanguinate is double black and X. Each opponent loses X life, you gain life equal to life lost this way. Another yo-yoing effect, and it will just end games. People will die to this card. And with that, those are the top cards for this commander. Willowdusk is really interesting. I wish that ability wasn't sorcery, but other than that, she's fantastic. And I hope you have a lot of fun playing her. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and thank you very much for watching. Bye.